Let me paint you a picture. You're 67 and you feel fine overall. You're having breakfast with your wife, enjoying your morning coffee. And then, again, that reflex, the throat clearing that's been following you around for 2 years now. Your doctor checked your throat but found nothing visible. He prescribed omeprazole and said, "Probably reflux, give it a few weeks." That was 8 months ago, and if anything, it's gotten worse. That exact story is playing out in millions of households right now, and the medical system, with its 15-minute appointments, rarely has time to explain why. This pattern plays out more often than the healthcare system likes to admit, and the biology behind it deserves a serious conversation. My name is Dr. Emma Johnson. I've spent over 2 decades working with adults over 55 on exactly these kinds of cases, the ones that get dismissed, misdiagnosed, or simply left untreated. This channel is dedicated to one thing: helping you understand what the research actually says in plain language. Today I want to take you through something important. 4 things that are working against you simultaneously when chronic throat clearing won't stop. And at the end, I'll give you a 3-question protocol to bring to your very next doctor's appointment. Stay with me through all 4, because number 3 is the one that stops most people cold when they first hear it. And number 4? Most people have never been tested for it, not once. Before we get into the 4 causes, I need to give you one concept, because without it, nothing I'm about to say will fully make sense. I call it the acid paradox. Here's the idea. When you're in your 40s, your stomach acid works exactly as it should. It sterilizes food, signals proper digestion, and keeps the contents of your stomach moving downward. The system is clean. But here's what changes after 60. 3 things specifically. First, the cells that produce stomach acid gradually decline in number. Your stomach simply makes less acid than it used to. Second, when acid is too low, food doesn't digest properly. It ferments. And that fermentation produces gas and pressure that rises, not downward, but upward into your esophagus and throat. Third, most people with this problem are prescribed acid-reducing medications, which makes the underlying problem worse, not better. That's the acid paradox. You feel like you have too much acid. Your body is actually suffering from too little. Keep that in your mind as we go through each one. Cause number 4, age-related stomach acid decline. Let me tell you about Werner. Werner was 64, a retired civil engineer. Precise, methodical, someone who'd never missed a checkup in his life. He started noticing the throat clearing about 18 months after retirement. Assumed it was allergies, took antihistamines. Nothing changed. Here's what was actually happening. After 60, the stomach's acid-producing cells gradually reduce in number, a condition doctors call low stomach acid, and it's more common after 60 than most people realize. The result isn't just digestive discomfort. It's a shift in the entire pressure dynamic between your stomach and esophagus. When acid is insufficient, the valve between your stomach and throat gets weaker signals to stay closed. The result? Stomach contents creeping upward. Not as burning, often just as a persistent urge to clear the throat. What to do? Ask your doctor specifically about testing your stomach acid levels, not just for reflux, but for low acid. It's a different conversation, and it opens a completely different path. Stay with me, because number 3 builds directly on this. Cause number 3, proton pump inhibitors are making it worse. This one surprises almost everyone. Omeprazole, pantoprazole, lansoprazole, these are among the most prescribed drugs in the world for adults over 55. And in the short term, it can be genuinely helpful. But here's the problem. For someone whose throat clearing is driven by low acid, not high acid, a proton pump inhibitor doesn't just fail to help, it actively reduces acid further, making fermentation and upward pressure worse. A 2021 review published in Gut and Liver found that long-term PPI use causes progressive structural changes to the acid-secreting glands of the stomach. In older adults already experiencing natural acid decline, this makes things worse over time. Let me say that again. If low acid is the root cause of your throat clearing and you are on a long-term PPI, the medication may be the reason it isn't resolving. What to do? This is not a reason to stop your medication without talking to your doctor. It is a reason to ask, is it possible my acid is actually low, not high? And could this medication be making that worse? Cause number 2, H. pylori, the bacteria nobody tested for. Now, this is the one that stops most people. Hildegard was 71, a retired secretary, sharp, health-conscious, didn't smoke, hadn't taken antibiotics in years. Chronic throat clearing for 3 years. Tried everything. Then, almost as an afterthought during a gastroscopy, her gastroenterologist tested for something called Helicobacter pylori. It came back positive. H. pylori is a bacterial infection in the stomach lining. It suppresses stomach acid production. It damages the protective lining of your stomach, and it triggers exactly the kind of low-level chronic irritation that travels up into the esophagus and throat. Here's what the research says. According to a 2023 analysis in the Lancet Gastroenterology Hepatology, H. pylori affects up to 50% of adults over 60 in certain populations. It often produces no dramatic symptoms, just a slow, persistent background of digestive dysfunction, and in many people, a relentless need to clear the throat. The standard treatment is a 10 to 14-day antibiotic protocol called triple therapy. Hildegard completed it. Her throat clearing was resolved within 6 weeks. What to do? Ask your doctor directly. Has anyone ever tested me for H. pylori? There is a simple, non-invasive breath test. It takes 20 minutes, it costs very little, and it is routinely skipped. Cause number 1, the compound effect, all 3 running simultaneously. Here's the thing most people, and honestly, many doctors, miss. These 3 causes don't usually appear in isolation. Age-related acid decline creates the foundation. Long-term PPI use makes things worse over time, and H. pylori quietly colonizes a stomach that no longer has the acid levels to hold it at bay. This isn't a hypothetical. This is Werner. This is Hildegard. This is likely someone you know. When all 3 are running at once, no single fix resolves it. The approach has to address all 3 layers. I promised you something you can use. Here it is. At your next appointment, bring these 3 questions. Write them down. Put them in your phone right now. Question 1. Could my acid levels actually be too low rather than too high? And is there a way to test that? This opens the door to a completely different path. Question 2. I've been on a PPI for X months. Is this still the right approach for me, or could it be contributing to the problem? Any good gastroenterologist will take this seriously. Question 3. Has anyone ever tested me for H. pylori? If the answer is no, ask for the breath test. Today. Any physician who is paying attention will welcome these questions. They demonstrate that you've done serious thinking. And if they dismiss them without explanation, that tells you something important about whether that doctor is the right fit for your care. I want to close with something Hildegard said to me after her results came back. She said, I had spent 3 years being told it was probably just age. Nobody ever looked any further than that, and it turns out there was a straightforward answer the whole time. That's what this is really about. It's not about acid levels or bacteria. It's about giving you back the confidence to ask the right questions and to expect real answers. Your body is not failing you. It has been responding to signals it's been given. When those signals change, the response changes.